AITA for refusing relatives' demand to sell property inherited. My grandfather had 5 sons. My dad was the eldest, and I was the first grandson. All 5 sons went into the trades and eventually rose to either professional positions in larger companies or started their own businesses. As the oldest grandchild, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents as my parents were starting their business. After my grandmother passed and grandfather had retired, he sold the house and most everything else and bought acreage in the mountains. He'd been born in a rural area and could best be described as a hillbilly. He loved gardening, hunting, fishing, and self-reliance. As I grew older, we remained close, as I was into the same things. I worked for my father's business and got into investing and playing the stock market. I soon started to build a portfolio of high dividend stocks. Fast forward a few years and I buy some acreage bordering my grandfather's. He'd built a small cabin, heated and cooked with wood, and got a propane refrigerator. He used oil lamps and a pair of OD gas lamps piped to the propane. I eventually bought a log cabin kit and even added solar and a metal insulated roof. My grandfather was impressed, so I helped him put in a Kohler system, ground mounted to make it easier to clean. And when it got to be time to redo his roof, I called some guys and we did the insulted metal. And I may have lied about what the materials cost since my grandfather lived on his pension and Social Security. His sons visited once a year, but were usually too busy, family, in-laws, etc. I developed a heart condition and retired eerily and moved to the cabin for a more relaxed, easygoing pace. None of the other grandkids were even slightly interested in what we were doing, but my grandfather and I enjoyed the quiet, getting to hike and hunt as we please. A few months ago, my grandfather passed. The whole family showed up at the funeral as expected, and all went well, sharing stories of the younger days with him and Grandma. Then one of my uncles asked what happened to the bag of $20 gold pieces my grandfather had. I had no idea. Then we were contacted by the lawyer for the reading of my grandfather's will. I inherited his acreage and cabin as well as its contents and what remained of his assets, since we've been close. I assured everyone that I'd look for the gold pieces as I thought they were family assets that the 5 brothers should have. Everyone was satisfied until I learned that my grandfather had lived for over 20 years while receiving a pension and Social Security while spending very little, a lot less than he received. He had his bank set up an investment plan in high-growth securities. Seems my grandfather left me close to $5 million, along with over 100 acres that have increased in value. I found the gold coins in a bag in my grandfather's old desk and handed them off to my uncles and dad TPO Divide. That's when the shitstorm hit. My uncles are